Hello, Collective. Thank you for joining Intentional Conversations today with Sheila, your host. I hope you guys are having a great day. So let's get right into it, Collective. There's a lot happening out here in the collective right now. So much so that it really makes you think about people who live everyday lives and like people you work with, how you live everyday life. And life is normal um mostly until you bring religion into it or spirituality. And then things can get a little shaky. And so the collective right now, it's funny how we talk about mental health and only see the people who talk about mental health go through mental health crisis, pretty much. It's the foreshadowing. Um, there's a I'm gonna rephrase that. There's a male and female uh spiritualists who are going through something very shaky. Something is changing major in their lives. Maybe due to some sort of spell work, maybe some sort of aim and direction in their lives. I think Spirit is telling me, in a sense, you know how you get to a certain point in your season when some of the things you do is just not in your mind. You think you do something, and you get to a point when seasons expire, where seasons change and your soul change. Everybody who's a spiritualist know that your soul changes. I mean, why are you in spirituality if you don't know that things in your spirit, how you feel, how you express yourself change in some sort of way? And so now we're seeing some people doing a lot of intervention, a lot of meddling. This is not giving fairy godmother energy where somebody, get your pink, some slippers and go a dress and you find your Prince Charming. This is somebody who's actually doing the opposite of the fairy godmother, where someone's interfering in someone's already blessed life, and now they have stuck their hands all up and through there to a point, to a degree where it's becomes, we call it the spirit of defilement. And it's shocking to see talented, expertise pick their mind on regular everyday folks who are extraordinary. But there's extraordinary people everywhere you go in life. You'll meet some key people in your lives more than once in your lifetime, some of you. And so now it gets me to think, we in the spiritual community, hearing about the story of people coming after these earth angels, tearing up their lives because their lives are blessed, when theirs too could have been blessed by knowing these people. It has turned things so upside down that I, spirits is like it's a spirit. It could be half of it could be dealing with someone who's been heavily afflicted with a Jezebel spirit. And a Jezebel spirit is very transferable, so a lot of people don't even know that. I don't think people understand the exposure that we're all under. Everybody, not just a bit, the dark or the light. Everybody's exposed by the same entity. And it seemed like no one had an answer, but everybody had an answer. It's kind of odd. When we needed the answer, nobody has it. But when everybody was kind of in I call it the worst idea possible, everybody had an answer for it. So there was a person, for example, we're going to use it for example, somebody wants to say, hey, I want to be a spiritualist. I've never done tarot. I'm not psychic. How can I start from ground up? How would you start from the ground up with somebody who never had an experience? And then you get around a room full of people who are extraordinarily gifted and talented and have a lot of expertise for whatever way they want to express themselves. Now, some of you are natural witches, some of you are not. What gets into the collective? How do a person who comes in who has none of that react? And as they start to learn and gain skill and power, somebody else comes in behind them, just like them, comes in and say, "Oh my God, I don't know anything," and I too want to learn. But they have gifts. they have a little bit more of a edge of power, spiritual knowledge than they do. And they become jealous, and now they have covenanted someone who has a little bit more oomph, a little bit more spark in their spirituality, even though they may still be novices. And it creates a war in a vibe where somebody has done so much against someone's blessed life that they wanted the blessed life, but they decided to destroy someone else's blessed life and then call it their own. How can you take something from the Almighty, ruin his blessed child, and then snatch and put it on the cloak of the blessed child's outfit? I always tell people now, anybody who's chosen know that they got a very strong connection with the Almighty. And the Almighty has designed his children for certain things in this planet. You are not designed for that. You're not designed for it. So you coveted something, you destroyed something, and then you wanted to wear the cloak of whatever it was that you destroyed, not knowing that God would recognize his design. Remember, we're all his chosen children. And so maybe one day the person forgets and they go through life and they're wearing the cloak of someone else. And then they happen to cross the same God that created that particular child's cloak. They walk up into there and asking favor, and the spirit is looking at them going, "Is that my child's cloak? Why are you wearing it? Where is my child?" And then he goes and searches for his child to see that his child has been put into some sort of massive, crazy warfare where this person wants them to be homeless, a whore, and mostly traumatized so that they could shine in this walk that they was not designed for. I always tell people, some people do not know what they're about to face. And I saw this woman walk into the pathway of the future, trying to see what was coming up. And she stood maybe a little too far off into whatever reality she went to. I don't know what realm she went to. She stood there and she turned to ash. She got blown away like it was an atomic bomb. She coveted something to the point where she thought she could do this job better than the person that God designed to do this job. Walked into the path and saw before her something so damn. You know how somebody sees something and say, "I don't want that shit." It's going to be something like that. I feel like somebody has placed themselves in a position where they don't want to do the job or the mission of the assignment, but the assignment is greater, a more important assignment, a very important assignment that they have delayed a group. I always tell people, when God has a blessing for people, sometimes you got to let certain people not be touched so that all of you can be blessed. And I say this in a way where someone has done so much that they didn't just delay their own blessings. They delay a collective blessing by their own ego. Have you ever heard of a person? I'm gonna say just like I said. Spirit's telling me to say this, just like this. Certain people are placed in your life. Some people are placed on this earth to provide millions of people a blessing, not just one. And sometimes some of you are blessed enough to see a unicorn. Some of you are blessed enough to see someone who carries that level of assignment. To not only hinder the assignment for all of you to be blessed, you have delayed it because you wanted to go to war and claim something that God did not design you for. And so what we have to watch all these people who were screaming out. These are the same, I'm talking about the dark practitioners and the light, who are all watching the same storyline. And we're all looking, some of the dark practitioners are participating, going against you too. And what they're not realizing is that the blessing that they was trying to steal, they didn't have to steal because it was supposed to be given to you. But you guys are so, Spirit says, they're so ignorant. They have become so blasphemous. They have become so entitled. They have drank their own wine and it has poisoned them. They have poisoned themselves with their own ignorance. that the blessing that they will scream to everybody about and lying to the collective that such and such is coming against me, and everybody's wondering who is such and such, and why is this person never around? This person doesn't talk about them. This person act like they don't know who the fuck they is. The collective, somebody has made a blatant fool of themselves to come out here. Spirit says the audacity to come out to the collective and swear up and down that the life that you're supposed to live, the mission that God designed you for, that is theirs. And so then they want to, because Spirit says, I keep hearing it, God got a blessing. God got a blessing. Well, somebody out here is a oblivion idiot. Because what they did was they were so busy trying to snatch the blessing out of your hands that they stopped all the other people's blessings too. They didn't just delay the earth angel and the divine masculine's blessings from being in the union. They didn't just do that. They got so cocky, they stopped a multitude of millions of other people blessings. Somebody said they wanted a Gucci bag, but you might have would have had it, and you didn't have to go steal and rob and harvest people to go get it. You might would have had some peace if you didn't drop an earlobe to a Jezebel spirit. I need people to get their mind in order. This situation that we see in the collective, these people going out here, and we're just watching this tragedy. It's not even a tragedy. This to me is a blatant audacity, disrespectful. You're grown. You're an adult. Why are you having a childhood crisis in front of the whole public? You want somebody to go insane, and you're already insane. Your trauma is living out loud. We are watching a wounded group of people who want to make people target practice for Moloch, Hecate, and these people. Hecate looking at me too. Hecate like, girl, I don't know. I'm just doing my job. I'm a girl. Do your job, but be aware somebody ass is gonna get handed to them. All which way to hell. All I'm seeing is people being handcuffed in the spirits. I'm seeing deities being handcuffed. And I'm talking about some higher rank deities are in handcuffs. We got somebody, we're watching people who are speaking in a tone with a lot of passion, who is going through something deeper, disturbing, with people who are disturbedly watching. They're in agreement. As this woman or man who is disturbed, denouncing innocent people publicly with authority and spiritual practices. Spirit says they expose themselves. Spirit says they're out here naked. They're out here naked, they're trying to strip you naked and expose you raw. But they have only forgot that they don't have no clothes on either. They naked out here. They so busy trying to strip you of all your dignity, didn't even realize that they were naked already. Spirit stripped them naked. The whole public eye is going, God, she said that about her? God, is that happening to her? God, that's a strange story. She's still on this story. She's still coming up against people. She's still fighting the same fight. And nobody there, but they're fighting themselves. Spirit says, who are they fighting? They are fighting the demons they called up. Because the collective is not there to fight them. When you really look at the divinations, you'll see that the collective is not coming up against nobody. The collective is minding their business, fighting against a multitude of warfare from women and men who are going through something far greater than themselves. Somebody out here is so full of trauma. God got a blessing, had a blessing for you. You intervene in your own hand. Spirit says they cut their own hand coming for you. Spirit says, come in, cut. Spirit says, I see a woman reaching her hand out to block your blessing and cut off her own hand. And then a man standing back because he knows that your hand's gonna get cut off. So he directs you from afar. He's in the blast zone, so he picks up his shield, tell you what to do, so you can get your hand cut off. And you stupidly in agreement. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lay this altar down and I'm gonna lay this candle down in this spot. And he let her lay that candle down, knowing damn well that her hand's gonna get cut off. Everybody's trying to tag and court themselves to a blessing that was already given to them. The Spirit says, as they walk, the blessing will be upon you. But these people didn't do that. They were so short-sighted. These cords have to be cut. Cut those cords from those people. They've been feeding on you, collective. Cut those cords so that you can see straight. Somebody has polluted your mind, and they want to pollute the collective's mind, the innocent's mind. The people that do want to rob, they want to mess up you mentally so that their story is in alignment to the deception. This is a long-term deception. This is a vile act against humankind, a human person. This is somebody who has no integrity, none. First, they don't, what the sovereignty that you're trying to maintain, they don't have any. Spirit says it's about how you live your life. It's about somebody's talking about somebody's so adamant and trying to make people feel. This is why I tell people this is where you gotta understand. You can have absolutely nothing, but your wisdom is the wealth that a lot of people need. Somebody says how you live is in accordance to how other people see you in life. Now, if people are coming up now, I'm gonna say this example because everybody gets to a certain page. A lot of people are late bloomers in life. A lot of people go through struggles, immaturities. But now that we see the multitude of how people come up against people and the struggles that they're going through, I've seen people who are musical artists go through struggles. I've seen people who have really rocket science mind going through struggles. And then it makes me think, has somebody come up against them as they have come against you? How they had come up against me? I said, look at me. I'm very talented. I'm very extraordinarily talented. I know I'm talented. I don't give a damn how anybody feel about it. I am extraordinarily gifted. Okay? People don't understand that everybody has a walk. Nobody's walking around with silver spoons. Not black people anyway. Not every black person gonna do upbringing. And this is normal life. That's what other people understand. I'm talking about normal life. Not everybody has a spoon in their hand. Not everybody's living in the suburbs. Not everybody is going through the same spiritual growth as you. People's parents had struggles, especially if you live in the country. Some of y'all Southerners know this. Your mom and dad struggled. Your mama struggled. They were in poverty. They had abuse. It caused problems in your bloodline. Then you grow up and then you have to learn from all the other mistakes that your family has made. And I'm not going to say mistakes, but the struggles. And then people get upset because now is your time. Now you get ready to put on a new pair of shoes, put on your cloak, and they upset. It's how you live your life. You can't talk to me about nothing, and you're ignorant. You're so ignorant that you're blind. That the way you act, you think it's wisdom, and everybody's confused. Nobody know who to follow because you're sheep. I'm gonna tell you right now, Jesus is wearing a white robe and sandals. He had nothing. And he was an example for mankind. He had nothing. He had nothing and he was king. I need people to get their ego out their ass. And I stop and stare sometimes because people be talking. She got to have a Ford, a Cadillac. She got to wear Gucci. And then I'm going to follow instructions. But she could be the devil. She can lead you right off the cliff. He or she. People can put on clothes, look good, speak good words, and find out that they'll have delivered you straight into the pit of hell. Their glamour and their image. It don't mean nothing when your soul is black. Look at how you treat people. I can't even speak in a way where I do these readings before. Back in the day, I would do readings and keep on moving. Now I gotta watch how I speak. Because the way people have been speaking over people's lives is something wrong in your soul spirit. You want to tell people that you have grown, but look at how you communicate when you are in trouble. Look at how you communicate when you try to be successful. You gotta dog somebody out so you can rise. And the people are confused. They're looking around like, why she gotta say that? Why he gotta do all that? Why they gotta do so much? Why they gotta go through the goddamn deepest, darkest valleys of the hell to get something that's already ordained and blessed? How you gonna grab from the darkest pit of hell and then going to grab the rose of heaven? What you gonna do? Tell hell to get back after all the work it did for you? You think hell gonna stay back there? Oh, you gonna put us in the shadows, huh? You think hell gonna give you some peace after you done grab the rose of heaven? And then you want to tell her to get back, hide, get back. You don't, huh? I don't think mine. If I was a daisy, I would whoop your ass. You ain't gonna tell me to do all this hard ass shit and fight for you, and then you got me in the back room. What the fuck? That mean y'all can't even talk about the spirits y'all fuck with, cause you gonna scare half the community. Y'all can't even tell the collective who's been working on your behalf because half the collective will leave you. Not half, all of them will leave you. If the collective knew who you was rocking with and was doing favors for you in the spirit, them people will leave you. You talk to people say, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the wisdom of the whole thing. You people are talking and I'm watching, I say, somebody favored you. Who favored you? What spirit did that for you? At all the work that you've been hitting and hollering for somebody else's destiny, trying to claim it as your own, who was the spirit that did this for you? Who you been calling up? We got questions. And the collector's just standing there like somebody didn't put a lantern, a light, a fixation. Y'all look like a bunch of moths to a flame, getting zapped. Each one zip. Wake the fuck up. Look at what you're looking at. Listen to its voice. Listen to its message. What are they saying to you that doesn't make sense? To me, I've watched the collector. I said somebody could be lying all day. They can get on every platform. I don't give a god dang. If their storyline is all about somebody else, every time you look, you humping and hollering about what they think somebody should teach and how they teach. I said, you go look at Jesus with his sandals and his white robe. Okay? This man had nothing. He was a walking voice of God. And there's many others that follow his example. If you're looking for somebody like living the style of Beyonce, well, I'm gonna tell you that Beyonce ain't following Jesus. You can look at it and see what she followed. I see who she followed, by the way. Hey, Beyonce girl. Hey, who's doing their assignment? Who's giving them favor? Who's working for them? Sometimes you have to ask the question: who's working? Who's giving you those favors? And they can't lie. How many you can? They go here and lie. Yeshua Hamashiach. I'm gonna go straight to heaven's court. Like Yeshua Hamashiach. Did you give that to him? And he said no. Heaven's court. There we go. A lie is a liar. And some of y'all so foolish, some of y'all so intoxicated. I said you're intoxicated because you're listening to a Jezebel spirit. You're entranced by a Jezebel spirit. We go to church every Sunday. Y'all got fucking amnesia. Y'all got amnesia 5 minutes after church. 5 minutes after church, you forgot that there was a Jacksonville working in your life. And y'all think it's not out here. It's rampant. And you're sitting there intoxicated by the poisoning of your own spirit. It's feeding you poison. And you're connected to it. Oh, they fucking reading with you on stage. What the fuck you mean? That's a fucking Jezebel. You done already lied 10 times in one session. In one live, you done lied 10 times. The story sound good to you though. Okay. All right. Collective. I got questions. Now I'm got, and I laugh at the reading. I just laid down some cards, and the card says manipulation, abuse, and somebody mentally disturbed and obsessed. It's not just somebody going through a mental crisis, living their traumas out loud as a spiritualist. Sometimes you dabble in certain spirits and certain books. It opens the door where you cannot physically be ready for. Some of you are not protected enough for. Some of y'all should not even have touched them things. Not everything suits you. Okay? I keep hearing Spirit say to me, sometimes people want to stand in front of people to only find out what's coming to them is the size of a planet. They, oh shoot, I didn't know it was that coming. You stood there like you knew you was in control. You thought you had God's plan, and God told you no plans. You're out here trying to go. You have to fight more magic. You have to conjure up more magic to just know what the hell God's message and assignment is. Y'all know how cryptic God be speaking to people? And you want to stand in front? Spirit says you should have left the chosen one alone. You should have just picked off somebody regular. No, you want to pick up the big wigs. You want to go fuck around with a chosen one, and now the whole world's going to have to be looking at your dumb ass in balance. So we got to watch these people rip and run all up and down the internet, lying to the highest hill to any fool who believes it. And I'm looking, I was like, that's all Jezebel spirits. And that shit transfers extremely fast. That's if you go to church, everybody knows how fast a Jezebel can work a whole church, a whole work environment, your whole marriage. That spirit don't give a damn. And then you got people casting these spirits. They're already inflicted by the spirit. They cast the spirit, and then they get on live talking, and then they cast it. It's permeating out of their aura. And they get more and more desperate because as people are hearing the story, they have to keep up now. So they gotta dig. I gotta dig a little deeper. They gotta dig a little deeper. Now they gotta go to the darkest realm. Now they got Satan and flying around. I'm like, why is the devil looking at me? He know me and him don't follow the same rules. There's nothing we gotta talk about. Nothing. There's nothing that anybody gotta talk about now. Spirit says, oh, I need it. No, you don't need to explain nothing. This is not the year of explaining nothing. Nobody, just shut the fuck up. Stop talking. Stop doing things that's against yourself. I just had the dream. I gotta keep going now. I didn't. What? You sacrifice yourself. You sign a contract that nobody can get you out of now. Is that what it is? You can sign a contract that you can't get out of, but you have to hold up the story because it's your ass. Or you said I'd rather be somebody else than me. So it's gonna drag you through. I call it living hell, and you want to drag other people through living hell with you. Somebody is manipulated, abusive. We have watched people abuse with hidden hands that are no longer hidden. Spirits that the veil is broke. Everybody knows it's no longer hidden. We know who all the hands that played the part. And these people are trying to shut you up, and you ain't even talking, collective. Not enough. They didn't talk more than you did. And they upset. I'm like, what you upset for? You talk more than me. The story is hot. Not just about what you did. Everybody knows what you did. And it's hot. What you want to do? Go and get 55 cow tongues? You got a large lot of people knowing the shit that you talked about. You went to a lot of people with the same story. What you gonna do? Go to a warehouse and order 150 cow tongues? So then witches can come up against you when they find out that you've been doing it? Some of y'all didn't think this through. Because I looked at you, I said, well, y'all mad that people are talking. You didn't told everybody. You didn't told everybody the story. The lie. A lot. And repeatedly. And now you upset. Well, it's not nobody's fault. You need a first person. You need to put a cow tongue on yourself. Like seriously. You done told everybody. I'm confused, collective. They can't do a shut up spell. They need to put a shut up spell on themselves. The level of grown women and men they look calm, collective. That's the thing about strange people. They look calm. I'm calm, but I'm calm on purpose. For instance, no, I'm intentionally calm. Let me rephrase that word. I'm intentionally calm. But there's people out here who are calm on a mission of darkness. They lay back. They look like the vessel of wisdom, but the whole time they got an operation on you, collective. Steady watching you in the astral realm. They're probably going through thoughts, but I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I did that to that person. I don't know why I'm so heavy on that person. I don't know why I'm so stuck. I done told too many people, so now I gotta stay on my shit. For instance, somebody is emotionally upset. Somebody who's obsessed is going through some sort of mental crisis. They have done a lot of manipulation and abuse to people in the collective. They said the collective is seeing the great confusion and they're waking up. People are being imprisoned, and people talk about going to jail, but people are being mentally imprisoned as well. And people are starting to see that the people that they were following have an attachment that has locked them up in a sense. They wanted that for the collective, but the collective somehow has gotten free. This person, this karmic woman or this karmic priestess has worked long and hard in coming up against the collective and is now getting ready to face their own judgment for being childish and holding on to a grudge for so long. They tried to block justice for a long time. They're trying to block poverty from hitting their own lives for a long time. And they're surprised. And now they want to come and make up to you, collective. Maybe they want to talk to you. Maybe they want to talk to you about your gifts. Now they want to act unbothered. Maybe they need your gifts, but try to act like, oh, I ain't got no beef with you. I ain't got nothing. But at the same time, they want to steal from you, collective. They either have steal from you or they're trying to steal from you yet again. This is somebody who needs to move on from theft. This to me, this whole theft idea, this whole destiny idea has imprisoned this person. This person should have never came against this earth angel. This was by far the worst mistake this person could ever do. This person should have let this go a long time ago. It wasn't even worth it. Somebody came up against somebody that should have never have laid their hands on. Because what it looked like to me is that they came up against somebody who was innocent, kind, and sweet, who had much more of an important mission than they realized. You should never trust people. That's the ego of the spirit. You know how people says, don't harm the prophet, right? That's in the Bible. But people look at you in the eyes of a human being and say, you ain't no prophet. You're not a medium. You can't read me. You can't read this. And people are awakened at certain phases of their life. You can meet somebody who has no psychic abilities, and 5, 6 years later, they are prophesizing and opened up the Red Sea. You don't know the journey and the awakening of God until He assigns you. So if somebody sees somebody and they may not be gifted as you see fit, but later on there's a multitude where God sees them fit. What you gonna do? You gonna operate and yell at everybody and buck everybody? She ain't this, he ain't that. Who are you? Who are you higher than the knowledge of God? That's what I'm seeing in the collective. I'm looking confused. And I'm walking around. Who has the audacity to talk about who can help you when you can't even help yourself? You can't do this, and your credit scores are 200. I'm like, tomorrow there could be a billionaire, like rags to riches. Have you ever seen somebody who had the answers to the universe and had nothing? And tomorrow they can have everything. Some people are walking treasures, not by the amount of money, house, material aspects. Some of these people are the multitude of wealth, their knowledge, their heart. And some of y'all have become soulless and entertained by it. You're entertained by soulless people. You're entertained by soulless people. You're entertained. Let's close this reading. I need my people to wake the hell up. Stop standing in the blast zone. When revelation comes, God will not wait for you to find the answer when He already showed it to you. Your eyes are open, but you're still blind. This is what half of you speak real strong wisdom. Some of y'all get on the microphone, you yatting, you swear them down, you know every goddamn thing, you know nothing. There's multitude of psychics, and not one of you could help that woman who is going through something so severe publicly, trying to steal destinies out loud, murder plots and all, holding on to grievances, which I should have let go a long time ago. Okay, collective? Sending out these flying monkeys to be just as lost as the ones who portray wisdom. Other than that, that is my message, that you guys need to get up out of your own confusion and stop just sitting there and filling up like a gas tank all these lies, and wake up and see where you're putting your mind, heart, and soul to, what you're exposing yourself to, and prepare for an awakening. These false narratives with these voodoos and karmics who are enamored with somebody else's life because of money is not worth selling your soul for. But for some of these people who are selling their souls are not designed for whatever the mission that God has gotten for them. They would have gotten the message naturally. They're trying to hijack people's spirits. These are spiritual hijackers who are publicly talking about people like they're the ones doing it to them. Evil is being seen as good, and good is seen as evil. And y'all are literally coming from the church. You get amnesia. You stand in front of these people who is against God, holding your Bible. Look at the, people say, look at the spirit of confusion, for he is not part of it. Wake up, collective. Look at the spirit of confusion, because he is not there. As you stand, as you see the teachers speaking in confusion, calling out people and doing things to people that you know ain't right, while holding the Bible or speaking like they are from a high caliber of wisdom. And most of you go to church. 99 of you online, especially these black people, are churchgoers. And you stand in front of these wayward people who are holding up Bibles just enough for to fool you. Well, I'm going to tell you, Jesus, Yeshua, HaMashiach, is not the author of confusion. Jezebel's spirits are. Look at what you're standing for. I'm not. I'm Peter says what they did to the collective and what they did to these earth angels and divine masculines because they should have mind their goddamn business, kept their hands in their own damn pot. Now they gotta face the replications that they're fighting against. Well, you gotta fight against God. Good luck. But the collective, you need to get your eyes checked and your ears checked because you know that what this person is speaking is the art of confusion. None of it's making sense, and y'all just somehow passively sheep, ready to be devoured. You're so close to being swallowed up in the blast zone. Wake up, collective, because when he arrives, he said he ain't got no time for you to figure it out when you had all the time to figure it out. A lot of you guys talk like you're big shit. A lot of y'all talk like y'all could see the end of time. A lot of you guys can prophesy 88 to 85 books at once. I experienced this, I did this, but you have not seen this. And you have not even warned. I watched these people. I said, you a practitioner. You ain't speaking about this Jezebel spirit. You ain't speaking about this Jezebel spirit. You ain't speaking about this Jezebel spirit. Nobody's speaking about this Jezebel spirit. Has all of y'all been hit? Is all of y'all got? Has all of y'all been motherfuckers got hit? I'm just looking. I'm just listening. I'm just looking. I'm just looking. I'm looking. Everybody's speaking in corners. I think you better speak out loud. Save these people. You know how hard a Jezebel spirit is to get out? The authority you must cast down. You must throw down that Jezebel spirit. And then these people are working with Leviathan spirits. They're working with astral parasites, astral rodents. They're working with a whole lot of crap. And they want to stand before you. Again, somebody who works in the heart, the hands of the dark, wanting to touch the rose of God and stand in it. Confusion. Get it together, collective.